And the Zoe also banned away from Ryoma. Now remember, it was Ryoma who had to play into Zoe 3 times in their series against Cloud9. He did not have success on that champion against that champion, at all. So they don't want to allow him the chance to pilot it either. Azir will be the final ban here in this game.
So LeBlanc is still open, and a lot of the LeBlanc counters have been gone. Oftentimes you would save your last pick for Bjergsen's counter pick, unless he thinks there's a champion he can just lock in and smash with. And as we mentioned, Gragas and Jarvan, available junglers. This technically leaves the window open for an AD mid laner from Bjergsen as well, since Gragas does apply a fairly large AP threat. But what this is saying is they don't necessarily fear Ryoma's LeBlanc, and Bjergsen feels confident that he can play anything against it.
Let's see how the Thieves want to go about doing this. I also like just the fact that they banned the Azir, considering that's the champion that got a pentakill on them the last time they played. Yes, 100 Thieves still managed to win that game, but considering it's the penta champ, that just leaves a bad taste in your mouth. And it appears that we are going to get Jarvan. We're going to get Orianna there, picked as the mid laner for Ryoma. What is the answer here for TSM? You could see them hovering over a couple of different things here. Gragas Yasuo is a possibility. We've seen this played effectively by Cloud9 in the past. It is one of those more aggressive combinations that you have to make sure you're really in sync to use. Corki, a champion we've been seeing more of come back into popularity, the dreaded Corki Azir meta, but that's going to be the pick here for Bjergsen.
Yeah, so I'd say 100 Thieves didn't want to play the LeBlanc chicken. They didn't want to lock it in knowing that Ryoma's 0-3 on it and wait for whatever TSM had left. So they go with very safe mid lane picks. The Ori has actually been one of Ryoma's best picks throughout the split. The Corki is actually the first Corki play by Bjergsen, so that now actually makes 8 champions he's played one game on, like exactly one game on, making sure his champion pool is incredibly diverse. But in terms of like actually playing through mid, where Bjergsen has dominated Ryoma in both of their matchups they've played this year, you don't really play through the Corki. So I'd probably expect them to put more focus bottom lane with that Gragas early, that Varus Tahm Kench, and think about crashing down early on in the game.
Especially considering if you look at the opposite end of the map too, you've got Aatrox versus Ornn, which is one of these matchups that we just see so constantly these days, and without interference from junglers, you would not expect either of those to end up dead on their own. But now the teams are locked in, the champions are ready, and as they load into the Rift, let's check out the starting lineups. Welcome to Summoner's Rift for the first time today. 5 games between 100 Thieves and TSM to decide who gets to go forward and whose split ends here. I'm Captain Flowers, this is Jat. Once again, we're going to be taking you through the entire battle between these two. And the last time they played was a pretty spicy confrontation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if we just take ourselves back a week and a half ago, TSM was kind of considered at least a top 4 team, maybe even top 2, and they had a massive advantage on 100 Thieves in a game during week 9. Remember, this is a point where 100 Thieves was coming in trying to make a race for the playoffs. They make a big comeback later on in that game. TSM then goes on to lose the next day, and that's why TSM ended up as the number 5 seed. If you kind of look at the conversation that's been happening around the league, even our own analyst desk here, everyone predicted TSM to win this, even though they're the 5 seed coming into the playoffs and 100 Thieves is the 3, because there's still this conflicted feeling of confidence, I think, for TSM that they can put it together, especially in a best of 5 like this, where if they do have the wrong draft or the wrong read, the thought is that they can correct it, because most people have thought that this TSM team is stronger than the 100 Thieves team in the for most of the split, despite the fact that 100 Thieves actually has gone 7-2 in the second half of the spring.
Yeah, 100 Thieves has had a very impressive second round robin as Meteos will go towards this mid lane here early on. Nice job there, popping that summoner spell from Bjergsen, utilizing the level 2 gank from the Jarvan before Bjergsen can hit level 2 to make sure he doesn't get the escape mechanism. But what I was saying is, yeah, 100 Thieves have had themselves a very solid second round robin here. But the thing we got to remember about TSM is, in line with the point that Isaac made on the analyst desk, this is a team that can lose to CLG, but at the same time, this is the only team that has managed to take a game off of Cloud9. Their highs are incredibly high, and their lows are equally low, and it makes them just so hard to read.
Yeah, and 100 Thieves is a team that has been underestimated for almost every single game they play, I feel like, to actually end up as the number 1 seed and number 3 seed. And even just looking at the start of this game, a really strong start by Meteos, getting the flash out of Bjergsen early. He's actually warded Dardoch's jungle path, as you can see where Dardoch just cleared his own blue buff. He was warded, which allows Ryoma to move to river. So Meteos applying a lot of early pressure on these TSM solo lanes.
Dardoch will clear out that ward, continue moving himself towards Ryoma here in the mid lane.
Bit of a risky gank because Bjergsen's flashless and Corki's very weak at level 3, so even though likely he could have gone in there, they had no eyes on where Meteos was, and they thought maybe he would be laying in wait, knowing that Bjergsen himself is flashless.
Yeah, especially considering the power of the Jarvan in these early fights. Not exactly a situation you want to find yourself counter-ganked in. Looking at the minimap down here in the bottom lane, it's exactly what you were predicting, saying that Kobbe and Biofrost would have this priority if that's what they wanted. And considering the junglers are not paying attention towards the bottom half of the map, it seems like that priority is exactly on the menu for these guys.
Yeah, it's relatively clear, even though not completely certain where each team's jungler is. So, for instance, Someday able to get shoved in that top lane because Broken Blade wasn't willing to play aggressive, knowing that Meteos' Jarvan may have been there to gank him. Likewise, on the bottom half of the map, since Meteos' Jarvan was likely topside, Kobbe and Biofrost can take more risks in that lane in terms of harassing and stepping up to kind of just add on to what they already have in terms of champion advantage down bottom.
Kobbe and Biofrost already building themselves up about a minion waves worth of CS lead here in this bottom lane. Dardoch moving into the top side, trying to get himself a gank. Now, Broken Blade wants to set this up. Does find a knock up there. Q1, Q2 not going to find the knock up. Q3 will. Still looking to grab a little bit more damage. Someday stands his ground, unafraid.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking, what's TSM thinking here? Because they don't have much on Someday. Now, Meteos can come in knowing there's no health on Broken Blade, and they're looking for something.
Broken Blade still has the flash.
Touch and go.
If Meteos goes for a combo, Broken Blade can make a flash outplay, and once that combo's gone, Aatrox will just smack Jarvan around. So 100 Thieves decides better of it. They'll go back. It's going to be TSM going back. Full-on reset here on the top side. Meteos goes back into his own jungle.
Yeah, and this is actually pretty bad for Broken Blade up top. He was already down about 10 CS, and even though Dardoch came up there, I think the idea of that gank wasn't to kill, it was to push the wave in. Can't even do that because Meteos matches, and somebody's going to keep the minions down there, but as you can see, bottom lane, Kobbe's still able to trade aggressive.
Yeah, very nice combination there with the piercing arrow on top of the auto attacks to proc the extra damage from the stacks. As Someday is going to be losing a trade here against Broken Blade 1v1, but it's not going to be 1v1 for long. Dardoch wants to move in, find this gank. There's your flash to the body slam. Someday gets himself away, and now TPs are coming down. It will be a 3v3. Dardoch tries to walk himself away, but Meteos is under pressure. He flashes over the wall, but it's first blood for Broken Blade. Ryoma and Someday continue in retreat, but the chains have found their way onto a target and force yet another flash. 3 flashes down for 100 Thieves in the top side, and first blood to TSM.
That is so crucial for TSM to be able to get, and they're actually thinking about getting more here. They know they have a flashless, teleportless set of solo laners stuck behind this turret that they want to either pressure off the turret or actually dive. Ryoma's 6 though, so they have to respect the shockwave.
Shockwave finds its way onto Broken Blade, but he's able to grab the kill onto Someday and use the World Ender to get away. Bjergsen taking the turret aggro there at the very end, but he has his Valkyrie to get out of the range of that turret, and that is a second kill going over to TSM in critical critically, a second kill into Broken Blade. You were just mentioning how he was falling a bit behind in that lane. Not anymore.
Definitely not in terms of the gold that he's been able to pick up. That'll really accelerate his power early on in this game. There's still the chance that Ornn just is able to wash the lane later, which is why oftentimes from the draft, you're more expecting this jungle attention and all these skirmishes to go down into the bot side where TSM was potentially having an advantage. But that doesn't mean that Broken Blade still can't have a massive impact on this game. What we're going to look for now is where does this Aatrox move his bags of gold? Because we still haven't seen the Drake go down 7.5 minutes into the game, and the Rift Herald will be spawning in about 30 seconds. Watching this one more time, though, it is a little bit of over-aggression by Someday. He's trading aggressively, hoping to bait Broken Blade in because he has Meteos coming, but that doesn't take into account the possibility of a counter gank. Since he lost the initial trade so badly, when the TPs do come into match, his team can't stand and fight because Someday is actually just bailed from his team with how low he is on health. The W by Broken Blade gets the flash out of Ryoma, which eventually sets up the repeat gank onto Someday, and that's why TSM find themselves 1,000 gold up.
Ryoma will move over to grab himself the blue buff from Meteos here as those second round of buffs are starting to spawn. You can see Dardoch moving towards the bottom lane. Bjergsen is back in base, so Dardoch won't be able to hand off the blue immediately to Bjergsen to respond to the one that Ryoma has been given, but he'll start up his own Gromp and be ready once Bjergsen makes his way towards this mid lane. And one thing I do want to be mindful of as we move forward, remember that when Corki is in the game, both teams have to be very aware of the status of the package. As long as Corki has that very limited summoner spell-esque resource, it means that 100 Thieves will have to be cautious and cognizant of what they're trying to play for, because it really can change the flow of a fight. Bjergsen's got it right now.
This is clever.
Meteos, level 5. Dardoch is aware of his presence over the wall there. You can see the sweeper has found its mark. Meteos with the EQ combo over the wall will escape in time. Bjergsen still just hovering around here, package ready to go. Normally you see teams play around these well enough that the first one just ends up being used to clear minions or for nothing at all. But the threat of it alone is enough to allow them control over the mid lane, to have Broken Blade and Dardoch go towards this Rift Herald, considering the top lane was already shoved in anyway because Broken Blade is so powerful in that lane now. This is a free objective for TSM.
Yeah, that was actually really interesting what Meteos decided to do there. He cleared a ward, aggroed the Rift Herald, and then moved into the river, hoping that a straggler would come check the brush. But since TSM moved as a duo, Dardoch and Bjergsen, and Meteos had a sweeper on, he decided to just back up. Because as you mentioned, yeah, based on the strength of power, they had to give it up. Flashless Orianna.
Ooh, a lot of damage coming out from 100
Dardoch.
Thieves. That's a kill onto Dardoch. Bjergsen's looking to find one here in retaliation, but Stun has come forward. Biofrost with a nice flash devour. That is the play that keeps Bjergsen alive. Kobbe moving forward, looking to find some more damage onto Stun. Bjergsen from downtown. The Rocket is kill number 4 for TSM.
Oh man, Bjergsen getting a lot of gold out of what just happened there. And it looked at the start like a bit of an int from Dardoch, to be honest, but it ended up being very successful because they were in a situation there where they have the stronger Corki, and he really just fully commits as a flashless Gragas for some damage onto a full shockwave Orianna and no vision of Jarvan. So like, it was good that 100 Thieves was able to turn the first kill, but then the bottom lane roam is what made it into an overall positive play.
Biofrost's flash not only denying the kill to the enemy team, but also making sure Bjergsen is alive for the extra damage to make sure they get the kill onto Ryoma there as well. Huge difference between him making that play and if he didn't. And right now, as we're almost 11 minutes into the game, I do want to point out that throughout the regular season, TSM averaged the second highest gold difference at 10, only behind Cloud9, in the league, averaging 431 gold ahead. This game, they're way ahead of even that, and they're looking to build it even further, as Stunt is going to be the target. Biofrost again there on the Devour, keeping Dardoch safe from the bullet time, and it's just TSM time and time and time again. They're always the ones making the play first.
Yeah, this has looked very promising in the first 11.5 minutes for TSM. It also looked promising in Week 9 when they were up 1,000 gold against 100.
That's true.
So they do need to stay consistent in here, but based off of what's happened at the start of this game, 5 kills to 1, first Infernal Drake already, a bunch of gold on a very strong late game scaling Corki, and an unused Rift Herald for Dardoch that you're expecting him to drop before the 14-minute mark so that they can get that turret plate value. This is... It's a very good early game recipe that they've put together. Still have to close out, though, because there's an Ornn that they have still yet to defeat.
Right, that's the name of the game, closing it out. That was the story of TSM early on in this split. Remember, there were so many games that, for TSM fans, were just absolute tragedies, where they would get off to a good start in the first 10 or 15 minutes. They would have some kills under the belt. They would have a lead akin to what you're seeing right now, 1,000 or 2,000 gold ahead of their opponents, and it would just turn into nothing. They would go nowhere. They would lose that steam in the mid game. The team was able to fix these issues and solve these problems as they moved forward into the midpoint of the split. But it's always a concern looking back at how things were here at the beginning of spring.
And 100 Thieves has been, in my opinion, the better mid and late game team than TSM. So 2,000 gold, a Drake, a Rift Herald down. It's a big hole for 100 Thieves to crawl out of, but typically, Meteos and Someday have been able to manage a lot of deficits this season well for 100 Thieves. And, you know, they're attacking the Rift Herald in this case if they decide to go for more.
Meteos and Someday moving forward there. Now that, okay, field goal's good, but the big thing there is that seemed like a breakdown in communication. Meteos was walking forward and you saw he turned his champion back right about at the same moment that Someday sounded the horn. And to me, that says Meteos was wanting to call it off. Someday thought he wanted to go in. The communication was wrong, and it cost them the Ornn ult. Now Shelly is going to be taken out there on the top side. Broken Blade going into the ulti, finding a lot of damage here onto Meteos. Someday now going to be caught up there in some of the CC coming down from Dardoch. Broken Blade still having to get himself away. Nice flash to dodge out of the shockwave there, but Cody Sun has made his way up into the top side. Dardoch getting himself away with the body slam. TSM will disengage this one as Bjergsen has come in. The cavalry has arrived, package ready for delivery. No chance to take that one to the doorstep, and everybody walks away.
Oh boy, despite not dying, that was a disaster for 100 Thieves. You're right about the miscommunication. It looked like Ryoma was moving up before that play happened. They burned the Ornn ult, and that ruins their ability to collapse. But then they collapse anyways. They actually send 4 people top lane. They don't stop the rift. They don't get kills, and all they get out of it is 1 flash. Meanwhile, because 100 Thieves committed 4 people to the top lane, Kabe and Biofrost just walk behind the turret, push Stunt back, because for some reason it's a Nautilus solo defending the turret, and they take down the first turret of the game.
First turret gold plus all that kill money means TSM is 4,000 gold ahead of their opponents 15 minutes in. More fun stats for you. Their gold difference at 15, also second highest in the league, only to Cloud9, averages at 539. That is 1/8 of what it is this game. This is incredible.
It's above average.
Yeah, just
a
little bit here for TSM, who, remember, this is the first we're seeing of them in the playoffs. They had a couple of, I'll call them sketchy games towards the end of the regular split. They didn't seem to all be on the same page. The coordination wasn't there, and all that steam they were building up sort of fell apart. And now Dardoch going to find himself jumped on here by Meteos. Stunt and Ryoma moving forward as well, but the Chains of Corruption going to provide a nice disengage. Biofrost trying to walk away. He's going to be grabbed up there by the anchor from Stunt. Cody Sun around the left, but he won't get much other than the Make It Rain. 100 Thieves, again, looking to make a play, but they just don't have everybody exactly where they need them and can't find the kills.
Yeah, they're really trying to attack Dardoch's Gragas, who has been part of, 80% of TSM's kills, but really unable to get the clean initiations on him. He's also got stopwatch up, so he's a relatively difficult target. And here we go.
Once again, TSM trying to make those moves. Dardoch with a stopwatch. I'm so glad you called it out because it keeps him alive through 2 separate ultimates. Biofrost with the Devour to make sure Meteos cannot find the Cataclysm. Piercing arrow charged up. No chance for a kill there, but TSM get kill number 6.
Killer instinct coming out from TSM first 16 minutes of this game. That kill onto Ryoma, who was just pounced on by Dardoch's Flash E, opens up space for this second Rift Herald. Ocean Drake is coming up in 7 seconds, and it doesn't necessarily look like they're going to be able to start stacking up towards a Trick quick Dragon Soul. But right now, I'm thinking TSM is fine just getting more gold for this. This is something they did a lot during the early parts of the season. It was often questioned, but is not necessarily the wrong thing, where these early Drakes, they don't care that much about. They would rather extend their gold lead, because if you think about what they just got by giving up that Drake, they secured Rift Herald, they got solo turret up top onto Bjergsen, maybe even 2 turrets now that he's got Triforce and can proc it with rockets. So they're going to take the very fed Corki over slightly faster Dragon Soul, as long as he gets the turret.
Yep. Ryoma tried to go for a shockwave play there to stop him, hoping maybe the turret would hold on by just a sliver of HP and he could take Bjergsen down as he tried to greed for it, but it did not work out that way. Dardoch now trying to escape from Stunt, who drops the ulti onto the TSM jungler, providing some follow-up CC, and there you go. Dardoch no way out finally, and that's the second kill of the game here for 100 Thieves.
They finally got him. They've been chasing him around for 17 minutes, and after he uses his flash stopwatch on a kill mid, they realize that they can close him out. So good pickup by 100 Thieves to hopefully slow down this TSM onslaught a little bit.
100 Thieves also trying to pick up some momentum of their own here in the top lane, looking for that tier 1 turret. TSM have already taken down 3 turrets from 100 Thieves, including a tier 2 there in the top lane. 100 Thieves really need to get some of this objective money to staunch this bleeding and stop the TSM lead from getting any bigger than it already is. They will grab that tier 1 there in the top side, as Broken Blade looks for the fight on to Someday here in the enemy red side jungle. He will not find the chains, but he has control over the red buff, and he should be able to take this one without any problem.
Yeah, we know Broken Blade is stronger right now in the side lane over Someday. We know that Bjergsen is stronger in the side lane against Ryoma, and we don't know 100% who would win in the full 5v5, because if you think about the perfect layering of the 100 Thieves ultimates, with Cataclysm, the Ornhorn, Shockwave, good bullet time coming through with the Nautilus ult, that's kind of the eventuality that 100 Thieves is hoping to hold out for. It's just gotten harder and harder with this 5,000 gold deficit, and the more golden kills that Bjergsen has been able to accrue.
Biofrost as well has been very critical this game for keeping TSM members alive and making sure that they're not losing these leads that they're building. He also has his own stopwatch ready to go. So with Flash, he can go right into the middle of everything, keep somebody alive, and then go into a stasis to make sure he doesn't get punished either. Stunt nearly finding an opportunity to lock down Dardoch there, but Dardoch will manage to slip away here yet again. TSM continuing to clear away this vision from the brushes of the 100 Thieves jungle. Stunt wants to move up and contest it, but he's not able to do so. Biofrost staying directly between Kabe and the 100 Thieves players, guaranteeing there's no chance for a CC chain there, as Broken Blade just waits for his minion wave to march up to the bottom lane tier 2. And he's got plenty of buddies from the side of TSM coming in there. Nice CC combo from TSM, but a very well-placed Bellows Breath from Someday to immune the knockback from the Dardoch ulti. Biofrost again with the Devour, keeping his jungler alive. Dardoch throwing the barrel up into the choke point, making sure 100 Thieves can't walk down through that angle, as Biofrost with a flash will barely get away from Stunt's follow-up there with the Dredge line. 100 Thieves have a 5-man collapse, pushing up here on the 4-man squad of TSM. Bjergsen could join this with a TP, but Broken Blade, he interrupts Meteos on the EQ combo. He lets him know how he feels about it with an emote, and the entire time, 100 Thieves again get nothing for their efforts, and Bjergsen gets another turret.
This is a happy farming Bjergsen. Let me tell you, just let's have this other team go on a wild goose chase down on the bottom half of the map, not actually fight each other, and I'm just gonna farm 3 waves, get a mid turret, grab a blue buff, go back, get my Infinity Edge as his bounty gets higher and higher. There's actually a lot to break down in that last play though, and a lot that's actually pretty cool. Someday played that turret dive defense beautifully.
Yep.
A lot of other players would have died by just doing one thing wrong. Good flash timing, amazing W timing to immune the CC, and then as you called out, just the most clutch interrupt on Meteos' EQ, because that would have started the fight. He would have jumped into Cataclysm, and it would have at least burned flashes, maybe killed Biofrost. The one itemization choice I wanted to point out before all that happened is it is atypical for a Tahm Kench not to rush Gargoyle Stoneblade.
Yes.
So Biofrost has rushed the Knight's Vow for a little bit more protection onto Kabe's Varus. But it would potentially leave him a little bit more vulnerable to getting killed himself. I think the reason Tahm Kench's rush Stoneplate, as well as every melee tank support rushing Stoneplate, it is just so extremely more efficient in terms of individual tankiness if Biofrost is actually looking to frontline. So if we do see a fight where Biofrost is frontlining and he dies, that would be something to call out for. If we see a fight where Kabe lives with a sliver of health, then that's credit to the Knights.
Absolutely. Third Drake of the game is going to go to the side of TSM. Mountain Drakes, I didn't point it out earlier, but that is the name of the game here. The Soul will provide that permanent refreshing outside of combat shield if either side manages to get all 4. That's still a ways away, 10 minutes tops, and that's if TSM gets it 15 minutes away for 100 Thieves. TSM still commanding nearly a 7,000 gold lead. Bjergsen, he has the Trinity Force, he has the Infinity Edge, he has a second cloak, and Sorcerer's Shoes. Once he finally does join one of these fights, he's going to put down a ton of damage.
Yeah, and I think the time is now where TSM is going to start looking for a pick. They have very high Baron damage because of the Rage Blade, Blade of the Rune King Varus, and Dardoch has his flash up again. So maybe Dardoch wants to wait until he has Zoni's Hourglass so he can get that stasis back online. But for the most part, at the instant that Dardoch sees a moment or Kabe sees a target to hit with his Verisalt, I think we can expect TSM to go in because 1-1 fight would mean Baron and probably the end of the
And we saw that even in their tier 2 dive attempt here in the bottom lane earlier. It was Kabe throwing the Chains of Corruption over the wall at Someday. Just as soon as he thought he had the chance, boom, he's instantly going for it. And that's the kind of decisiveness that has given TSM the lead that they've got so far here in this game. Someday and Broken Blade in a 1v1, but that's not where Someday wanted to shoot that ultimate. No.
I mean, we don't know what he wanted.
All right, tell you what, buddy. 5 will get you 10. That's not what he wanted.
It's like, you know, on Alistair when you're not in range for the WQ and you press it.
Oh, you just slam the ground? Okay.
Yeah, it's like, you know, sometimes that's intimidating. Like, think what I could have done. I could have hit it. No, that was clearly.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know what you're selling here, man, but I ain't buying it. I ain't buying it. That's
now with Ornalt down, TSM's thinking about starting this up. Nice Farsight totem to spot it out though.
Kabe, Biofrost, and Dardoch still all hanging out here in this topside river. Bjergsen has been back in the base, coming out now onto the map once more as Broken Blade will continue setting up here in this bottom lane. Worth noting, Someday is now level 14. That means he can buy items for allies, but his allies don't have a lot to provide for him there as the fight's going to be breaking out. Biofrost again here with a clutch save, but it's not going to be enough. Dardoch taken down. Biofrost in danger. Tries to get himself away here with a thick skin. A little bit more damage. Will be able to take Stunt out. Shockwave onto 2 carries of TSM as Broken Blade makes his way into the back line. He'll find himself 1 kill, looking to make it 2. Meteos over the wall, trying to stop him, but it's still going to be a double kill here for the TSM top laner, who is finally going to be shut down. Bjergsen with the rocket over the wall will not find the kill onto Meteos, but that is a 2 for 2 here in the 100 Thieves jungle.
And that's great for 100 Thieves. They got a big shutdown off of Broken Blade there as he had just picked up a double kill and just continued to dive, trying to take on the world. I mean, you could see very strong moment in the game for Aatrox with Death's Dance and Conqueror up, but you also get to see how damn squishy Dardoch was. You notice how I mentioned he might not fight before Zonia's. He doesn't have it here. So once he gets jumped on, there's nothing he can do to defend himself. He dies. Remember, Biofrost also doesn't have the stone plate, so he is squishier than you would normally be at this stage of the game on Tahm Kench. He's taken very low, has to back out of the fight. Nice shockwave and a choke point to push the other 2 carries on TSM back, and I mean, massive effort by Broken Blade to fly over these walls and get this damage down, especially that last kill onto Ryoma, but no one can follow that far. So 100 Thieves is able to finish him off afterwards, and that's kind of a preview of, I think, what 100 Thieves wanted more of with this competition, is if they can make TSM funnel into choke points.
Oh.
This type of pick, though, is what TSM wanted. Well, and now with Cody Sun down, we might see him.
Yeah, that's not at all what 100 Thieves wanted. Biofrost showing up there with the Abyssal Voyage to cut off Cody Sun's escape route and make it so TSM can get what looked like the easiest pick in the world, as now they will just barrel down the mid lane. 5 versus 4, enemy AD carry dead, and that means no way for 100 Thieves to resist this inhibitor push. TSM will grab that one for themselves. The top lane minions are meeting right there in the river at the very middle, so TSM doesn't have a chance to try to turn this into a second inhibitor just yet. However, the Drake is spawning in 5 seconds, and TSM are on the way.
Yeah, TSM not rushing things. They actually had a lot of choice after killing Cody-san there. They could have peeled immediately for Baron and hoped to get some type of 4v5 fight, but they also knew that it wasn't really a defensible mid inhibitor, so they took that first, and instead of peeling back for Baron, they instead just peel back for another Mountain Drake, which brings them 1 off to Soul Point. What 100 Thieves is trying to do now in counter to that is just establish some vision around Baron, because they know if anything happens in the next 5 minutes, it will likely be in that Baron zone.
TP from 100 Thieves brings Ryoma to the top side river. Someday, once again, working on some of those items. I was mentioning before the fight broke out in the top side 100 Thieves jungle that Someday didn't have items to upgrade for his team because Cody-san was on an Essence Reaver. It was a GLP for Ryoma. There wasn't anything to power up. Fortunately for him, both his carries got their most valuable upgradable items in the Molten Edge and the Rabadon's Death Crown. I'm 75% sure I got the right name on that one. But either way, it's the items that matter. They're all upgraded. He's also got the 2 big items for the Abyssal Mask and Sunfire Cape upgraded on himself personally. And so all that's left now is to put some more money in the hands of those tanks as those items come around. We know the Gargoyle Stone Plate cannot be upgraded by the Ornn, but having all these extra bonuses in inventory does make these fights a little more close in terms of gold value than the scoreboard would suggest.
Yeah, I agree. I think TSM needs to proceed with a little bit of caution. I mean, even just thinking back to that Week 9 game they had a larger gold lead in that game than they do now, and Bjergsen actually got a pentakill on Azir in a game that they ended up losing. So TSM knows that no lead is 100% safe against 100 Thieves, especially 100 Thieves with Ornn. One of those shockwaves with what I like to call the Mega Death Cap, even if it has a fancier, more lore-appropriate name, could still wipe most of TSM. There's no MR on either Kobbe or Bjergsen, so the right placement and the right fight can still mean big things for 100 Thieves.
TSM starting up the Baron here. A 2-man Baron squad of Kobbe and Broken Blade seem to be having no issues whatsoever taking this one down. The rest of TSM is going to do nothing but provide interference. Baron is down to about 40% HP, and 100 Thieves are moving into collapse. Find a knock-up only onto Biofrost. Bjergsen going to try to provide some covering fire here with the rockets, but Dardoch loses half HP. Not exactly where TSM wants to see their jungler at, as this gives 100 Thieves the opportunity to step up, clear away some of the vision placed down by TSM there in that Baron pit.
Yeah, not great for TSM there. Kind of just sloppily starting the Baron without a plan. Like, I guess the plan was, hey, maybe 100 Thieves will never check, and then we can just get it, because there was seemingly no plan to turn and fight. Right. Instead, they just kind of walk away. Dardoch loses a bunch of health, and they have to burn Tom Kenchalt to cover mid. It does kind of just extend this ping pong where TSM is probably just hoping for Dragon Soul, because based on the look of that last play, they are not willing to chance a Baron encounter now and are hoping to achieve that Mountain Soul.
Well, it will be up in just 2 minutes, so 100 Thieves will have to prepare themselves to fight for it. And it's one of those hard situations where you need to keep it away from your opponents, but all the effort you have to put into taking it, even if you get it yourself, it's not going to feel like it's worth very much. What is it? 5% or 8% bonus armor and magic resistance, so it will be nice for the Ornn. And for Jarvan and Nautilus, yeah, that'll feel pretty good too with those Gargoyle Stone Plates armed and ready in a team fight, but still not the same power as the full-on shields of the Soul. But that's the boat that 100 Thieves are in, considering they have yielded control over that area so far in this game. Broken Blade continuing to push here in the bottom side. Teleports up for both of the top laners. Level 16 for both as well. That means it's the final level of the ultimates. It means a lot of team fight power for both. Dardoch, Kobbe, and Biofrost continuing to clear these wards away and maintain control over the Baron pit. 1 minute until Drake.
Yeah. I like a little bit more what TSM's doing now. They're just continually trying to kind of sneak it with the Varus, and they're applying a lot of pressure to the bot lane with Broken Blade's Aatrox, and Bjergsen is pushing up mid. So this is one where they might just be able to finish it because they prepped the wave so well, and I actually don't think 100 Thieves can make it in.
100 Thieves will not be there in time. A cast from Dardoch will disengage. The pull from Stunt finds its way onto a target, but Biofrost again right there with the Devour, able to get them away to safety. 100 Thieves immediately pathing towards the bottom side river. They want to be able to control this Drake. I would assume they know their opponents have Baron. They do not want to allow them to take Baron and Soul back to back.
Flowers, TSM's got to hustle, and Bjergsen just killed Red and Krugs and delayed his recall by about 25 seconds.
He's got teleport.
All right, he got Essence Reaver. Okay, he'll be able to make it. Okay, I thought it was greedy. It was the right thing to do.
All right, he's there. He's there. See, we're good. We're good. TSM was, they were just maximizing their economic output opportunity.
There we go.
Easy.
They're in actually really good shape right now. They can get a fight, or they can get the Mountain Soul and win the game, because with Baron buff, 1-1 fight is the end of it.
Here comes your Ornhorn, finding a knock-up onto Kabe, who is then going to be saved by Biofrost. The Devourers have been on point all game as Ryoma's jumped on. He's nearly killed, and Broken Blade sends him all the way into the grave. Stunt now under pressure. Over the wall goes Broken Blade. Meteo's going to be dealt with by the rest of TSM. Broken Blade goes 1v4 and gets 2 kills. Meteos goes 1v4 and gets a short one-way trip back to the spawn platform. The difference between the state of their 2 champions right now is pretty substantial. Sunday will try to continue his retreat. It's him and Cody Sun against all of TSM for the next 25 seconds, and I would have to say this one's over.
Yep, no need to finish off the Soul. They just killed 3 people on 100 Thieves. Cody Sun's probably going to try and channel his ultimate, but it's not going to do much. Myself by Dardoch, they'll win this.
Gragas gives him a drink and gets all the way rid of him. Sunday's going to try to defend here on the front line, but not even enough to take out Broken Blade. TSM onto the Nexus, and 100 Thieves will fall. It is a 1-0.